Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is Many a True Nerd, welcome to Immortality, which is, as I understand it, a narrative detective game where you need to piece movies back together to figure out what happened to a now missing lead actress. And this one came to my attention because obviously we very recently had the big game award shows of 2022, and this game showed up a fair bit, got some good nominations. So okay, let's dive in, but before we do, given the game's decided it wants to point it out, apparently we may be going to, fairly dark places with some of the footage we're about to see. So consider yourselves suitably forewarned. So, the way this game works is a bit on the unusual side, which is, it's the present day, and the actress Marissa Marcel has gone missing. So, I need to figure out what happened to her. The way we're going to do that is by watching old clips of her films and behind-the-scenes footage that's recently re-emerged. So, I've got one starting piece here from 1969. So, absolutely, we can just watch the footage. That'll give us an idea as to what she was doing, what was going on in the film, what was going on behind the scenes, stuff that might slowly let us put a picture together. But that's not the only thing we're doing. Because this is supposed to be an old-reeler film, I can set it going, speed it up to fast forward, rewind, etc, etc. But okay, let's get the absolute basics as to when we are and what's happening.
Hi, Marissa. How are you? Now you must be very excited.
I am excited.
Now you look very young in person.
People always say that.
You look what, 15, 16?
Maybe.
Can we tell the people at home how old you actually are?
Yes, I'm 20.
That is correct. Now we know you from the movie that you just finished shooting. It is finished, right?
Yeah, it's finished.
Yeah. If you don't know, it's a bit of a fairy tale. So Arthur Fisher, the great director, who you probably know from his movies such as Marion and The Man Who Dreamed, was casting for his new movie, Ambrosio. And so instead of casting a recognizable face, he wanted to find some fresh talent. So he put the word out and saw, how many was it? 10,000?
I think it was over 20,000.
20,000. He saw 20,000 girls, and long story short, he picked you.
Yes.
And you'd never acted before.
Not on the screen. I had done modeling and I liked the theater. Yeah.
That is amazing. I believe we have a short clip here. Do you want to tell us what we're about to see?
Yes, so I play Matilda, and, well, I don't want to spoil things too much. She's a young woman who sneaks into a monastery disguising herself as a monk. And then there's a lot of drama and magic and intrigue.
Okay. Marissa Marcel as Matilda, a woman disguised as a young monk. Here we go.
Oh my God.
The same magic that powers this lens can also grant you what you wish.
How so?
You remember the night that I was to die, when we took to St. Clair's sepulchre? That night, I performed a rite. I summoned a fallen angel to aid me.
What have you done?
And let's pause right there, because yes indeed, as I say, we're not just watching footage through, we've got one other tool available to us as well, which is this little lens right here, which if I pause and move it around, and I go over something of note in the scene, it will transport me to a different bit of footage that is going to be connected in some way. So it might be the same person in a different time, say. The trick, however, is it's not just the obvious things to click on. There are all sorts of, unexpected connections. So, absolutely, we could click on Marissa herself to presumably see her in some role or another, etc, etc. Possibly if I click on her when she's in the clip of the film, that would take me to something in the film, whereas clicking on her in this set might take me somewhere else entirely, her behind the scenes. But there's also various other people. So say, yes, the talk show host, we could click on him and be taken to him interviewing her at another point in her life. So right now, yes, she's just wrapped up film number 1, Ambrosio, because we know that was her first feature. So let's go and see what he has to say either to her in the future or to somebody else.
Well, I'm excited to see this new movie.
Well, you have to tell me what you think.
Yeah, must feel like a new start for you. Can you talk about what happened with your previous movie?
Now, I'm sure everyone here has read about this or heard the gossip. I was making a movie in New York.
Your first as director?
Yes. At the time, I'd done quite a bit of work as a director of photography. This was my first. It would have been a superb movie. There was an accident on set, and an actor called Greenwood was unfortunately injured and later died. After that, we felt it was in everyone's best interest that we stop the movie. We decided not to finish.
And this movie also starred Marissa Marcel, and I gather it put a stop to her career. They say she's become a recluse.
I don't want to speak for Marissa, but I think recluse may be inaccurate. Because she didn't choose to court celebrity, I just think that makes her normal. I don't really think she disappeared or anything. She just chose a different life.
Have you met with Marissa since that movie?
I have not.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a commercial here, and when we come back, we will have some amazing new music.
And there we go. So that's what we get there, and let's just zoom out here. So that's dated 1972, Minsky. So Minsky is presumably, yes, the name of the movie. So what we've got here is, yes, her talking to this guy in 1969, skip forward about 2 years, and she was in another film where there was an accident on set, which, well, okay, you know what, this is a big and mysterious drama. I'm guessing the accident wasn't an accident. And we can also just fast forward to, yes, remember details that we may have forgotten previously, so just to speed things up here. And, in just a second, move things back a few frames, Arthur Fisher. So, okay, by any chance is that Arthur Fisher, the person who recruited her into the first film, sitting on the sofa in the second? Go into image mode in the top left, and okay, we know the guy who's the talk show host, his name was Jimmy. So just go into this and move you back a few frames, buddy. And now zoom in on this guy. But before we actually let him start speaking... Oh, blimey. Okay, something weird is going on in that scene. Let's get back to that in just a flipping second, actually. No, this individual is John Dorick. The footage we just cut to, however, is dated 1970. So, okay, this is the film, presumably as it's still filming, before this went wrong. So Marissa Marcel will currently be shooting this film, Minsky, in 1970. But we know it's going to end in tragedy, and given, yes, she potentially retired from acting at that point, I'm guessing it's because she causes an accident that leads to somebody dying. Here we go, Carl Greenwood, that's the actor, John Dorick is the director. So this might be Carl on the ground in this footage over here. Yeah, confirmed. Director John Dorick is also on the floor. Acted and directed. So, okay, back to the start of this scene where we got to him just lying on the floor. Maybe as, you know, a bit of an extra. Maybe in the film, his character dies at the start. He just plays the corpse because he wants to be in his own film.
Team 3A, take one.
All right. Keep it loose, Marissa.
This is gonna be fun.
Action.
The scene's been trashed. Vital and good evidence destroyed. Would everyone below the rank of sergeant clear the hell out of here? Is that understood? I want no more than 3 cops in here. That's 3 living cops and a dead body. Unless there's more. Bodies, I mean.
So okay, some form of cop film. I'm guessing you're the lead, our handsome detective. Now, by any chance, would you be... Oh, what was his name? I've forgotten the name of the man, but the man who gets killed at the end of this. Zoom in on him. Just stop that for a second. Go back out to here. Check the images tab. Carl Greenwood. Yes. So you, buddy, you're going to end up dead at the end of this. And this looks like it might be behind the scenes, potentially. Here we go. Go back into video mode. We've actually got dates on the various bits of footage. So, the 11th of August, 1970. This is back in June. So, okay, this is pre-production, before they started.
You ever wonder why he was so sure of you?
He knew I loved him in my way.
He told me you hated him.
Yes, that too. Both. You want to understand how this worked? You trust me?
What do you want me to do?
Nice. And we cut to Club 88 sequence.
We're gonna need another bottle.
Okay, and this is where things get a bit tricky. Because, yes, it's going to be hard to tell when they're acting, when they're actually talking to each other, and when they're talking to each other through the medium of acting. Because I assumed she was talking about, yes, how maybe she had the director of her first film wrapped around her little finger. But then it turns out that looks like a rehearsal, but equally a rehearsal where they down champagne at the end of it, and he definitely gave her a bit of a look after the line running was done. So, okay. Something's a bit on the odd side here, but when we clicked on him earlier to ID him, we got one more bit of footage from pre-production as well.
Alright, scene 14, Marissa reading for Susie's part. We cut the interrogation room, pieces of photocopied diary, pages stuck to the wall behind Goodman. Frankie Santora. Goodman's waiting for an answer. Opposite him, Holly Honey. She's pretending to think about the question.
Frankie could be a woman's name or something else. A lot of people come and go in our crowd, but I don't remember a Santora.
What kind of people?
People who work in the arts. Painters, sculptors, models.
Minsky ever get into anything with anyone at the warehouse?
Minsky didn't come in that often. He looked down on us. I even told Franny to stop coming by. He took her under his wing when she was 17 and didn't want us expanding her horizons too much. Franny expanded her own horizons plenty. She was already painting before she met him.
Minsky Franny ever mention Frankie? Santora?
I told you I never heard that name before. But everyone has more than one name. I wasn't born Holly Honey, you know. Frankie Santora sounds like a drag act or a gangster. Maybe you should try Club 88. Plenty of both there.
And cut.
The real Susie will be far worse. I'm just warming you up.
Okay, there's definitely something going on between those two. Though, to be honest, we don't know whether that's wrong in any capacity, whether either of them had partners, but I'm guessing we're heading towards, eventually, she's going to end up killing him on set. The question is, yes, did she mean to? And also, more important, let's just move time back a little bit here. Crucially, if we can just get the right angle in the mirror, we've got somebody. Now, is that John Dorick back there? Just go into him, then before it starts playing, hang about it, go back and go to image mode just to confirm. Yes, that is indeed John Dorick who is recording that at the same time. So, okay, nothing too dramatic there. I'm more interested in diving into this guy because, yes, this can just spiral off into as many directions as you want, as fast as you want. Like, I've decided I'm interested in reconstructing movie number 2. I'm completely ignoring movie number 1. I'm guessing had I clicked on, you know, various characters, etc., etc., during that very first clip, we might well be digging into what the plot was of film number 1. But now I'm interested, how did it turn out that the lead of this film ended up dead? Okay, that shot we just went to by going on, yes, his image in the mirror, that takes me to 2 days after this scene was just filmed. So, okay, the director hanging out with somebody I don't recognise. So, kick this off, make sure we're right at the beginning before we get into any of that nonsense.
Do you think your audience will read something into your playing Minsky yourself?
This is the sort of thing audiences tend to do. I just hope they don't assume I did it out of arrogance.
John Huston played Noah in his own movie.
Yes, but he's done that before. And that was De Laurentiis' movie, and he's John Huston. And They'll assume I'm sleeping with you.
But you're a terrible man.
Ah, look who it is. My handsome co-star.
Long time no see.
Oh? What happened?
I'm really excited about this movie we're making together. John, Marissa.
No.
Oh, okay. It feels like maybe, yes, Marissa might have been into John. John might have been more into Carl. So, that's interesting. Let's go into Carl. Just keep going through Carl until we get something we can use. Ideally, the last scene. I want to keep moving forward in time. So, hang about. Just check the dates. And we are... Okay. We're in costume. We're on set. But we're late July. This is, yeah, one of the earliest scenes to be filmed by the Luxie of it. So, yeah, you can start putting together the plot of the film. Like, we know Minsky ends up dead. We've seen the rehearsal of the interrogation scene that indicates where the film was going to go, even though the date stamp puts it earlier. So, okay, go to you, rewind to the start, and see what we've got here, because... Okay, just because... Oh, that's true. Films aren't recorded necessarily in order. Just because the film was recorded in this order, that doesn't mean that's the order of the plot. So okay, we've got to keep an eye on that. But let's assume the plot's going to be fairly formulaic cop stuff. So there's going to be a murder pretty early on. There's going to be an interrogation scene, a double cross, a big shootout, and dramatic reveal at the end. Although, oh, that's true as well. And that's quite clever. We might be able to use... yeah, the actual boards at the start to figure out the scene order. 43A3. I can compare the various, yeah, clapperboards to try and figure out what the order of scenes is. So, oh, that's quite clever.
43A, take 3. Action. Thinking about the time that has passed. You're hollow. You're not even sure you want to go to the gallery, but your feet are taking you there. You're almost there. Your feet have brought you here. Stop. You know where you are. Look at it. Take a step closer. Through the window, you see the show. See the art, and most of all, you see Franny. She's more than you ever could be. She destroyed you, but you love her. Let the smile come. Cut.
Okay, so that'll be him walking to... hang on, Franny was mentioned during the rehearsal bit we saw. So yes, this is Marissa in the rehearsal, but she's not actually playing a role we know about in this film just yet. She was reading for Susie, they said at the start, suggesting she's not actually playing Susie. Okay, you know what? I know precisely where we can get some of this information. Let's go right back to the beginning, the first clip we saw, because we never finished it. I jumped away to something else. But if Marissa's going to tell us about her upcoming next film, Minsky, given Minsky's written on this right here, that might tell us who she's playing, if anyone. So okay, straight after they watch that clip of the film, let's get back to the interview in 1969.
Quite a role for your first movie.
Well, Mr. Fisher was quite the teacher.
Now I heard he can be quite demanding.
Well, you know, he has an idea of the picture in his head, and nothing is going to come between him and that, not even the actors.
And this is Mr. Fisher's first film with nudity, correct?
Yes, well, you know, he felt that a modern motion picture should reflect the times.
And you filmed this in Europe?
Correct.
They go for that in Europe, the nudity.
Yes, our producer said, we are born naked, and if we are lucky, we die naked. So why not shoot the movie naked?
Well put.
He kept his clothes on.
And the picture is out soon?
I hope so.
Yeah, and now, you're not in New York only to talk about Ambrosio, but you're filming another picture.
That's right, yes, with John Jurek, who was the director of photography on Ambrosio. We're writing it together.
That is amazing. You are smarter than you look. I'm kidding. So what is this movie about?
So it's called Minsky, and it's about an artist who is killed, and the suspect, the number one suspect, is his muse. That's the part I play, and there is a detective investigating, and he falls for her.
Well, I can't blame him.
Well, he has a cop mindset, and it's really about the clash between the artists, how they live, and this cop mindset, the conservative mindset, I guess. He is surprised by how messy the lives of artists are.
Oh, that's true. That's true. We've had some on the show. Mr. Warhol. Have you met Mr. Warhol?
Oh, yes, we've met.
Yes, we had him on the show, and he hardly spoke. Such a towering figure, and yet such a small, quiet man in person. You know, but his superstars, though, that's what he calls them, superstars.
Okay, let's pause there. I think we've got the information that we need. So, yes, she plays, presumably, Franny in the film. She just, yes, was standing in for someone else during rehearsals. So, she's the love interest of that guy, Carl, and now we know what part she plays in this nonsense. Okay, if he's the main character, just going through his face should lead us to more scenes with him, presumably. So, okay, brand new scene here. Go back to the beginning, make sure we understand where we are. So, okay, 1970. This is the latest bit of pre-production we've seen so far.
Rehearsal, scene 31, Olga's apartment. Team of 2 detectives and Ruby are searching the place. Ruby points Goodman to a collection of photos on the wall.
Art appreciation time.
Collage of nude male body parts with Minsky's face on it, where the genitals should be a splash of red.
Does this work as confession?
It's art.
Also?
Holy shit.
Find a mask yet?
Still looking.
Wow.
I thought I told you to keep it out of
Don't
this.
worry about it. I'm gonna call it a night. I'll see you at the station tomorrow. You got this, right?
I am ready to wake up from this dream.
All right. When you walk out, let's figure that out.
Yeah, the script says I hold her hand, right?
Exactly.
Would I do that? Is it like a boyfriend, girlfriend? Is it like a parent dragging a naughty child out there?
Can I put my hand out for you to hold? I'm the provocateur.
I like that.
That's right.
I'll see you at the station tomorrow. You got this, right?
I am ready to wake up from this dream.
I like it. All right, we want to amp up the coziness as much as we can. We're about to hit him with a Goodman apartment sequence. Right.
Okay, so presumably this would be... Yes, he's gone together with the character of Franny, and he's bringing her to crime scenes, which he's not supposed to do because he's being dragged off the rails by this grimy world of artist diddly-diddly-dee. So, okay. But, here's what I want to do. I'm curious about this potentially. Just rewind the scene a bit and hang about, please. The knife. By any chance, can we zoom in on the knife to go to the actual scene being recorded in the end film? Or are we going to... No, that's a completely different film. That's the first film right there. That's Ambrosio. No. We're not going into that. That's absolutely fine. That's way back in time. That's 1968. Okay, I was hoping we might be able to use that to skip forward. But we do also have different characters. So just to put the knife down, there's, 2 people here we haven't seen before. So going to you for a second. Carl Greenwood. No, he's not Carl Greenwood. He's speaking to Carl Greenwood. But we can now identify him. Detective Walker. Okay, this poor lad apparently doesn't have an actor name. He's not a big enough character. Gotcha. And in fact, actually, we're now even later into pre-production. This might be, maybe a final party before they started shooting, because Minsky 3A is only a matter of days away, and, 3A. okay, that's probably the scene. So yeah, this is right at the start, where he finds Minsky's body. So it doesn't matter the director's playing the corpse, he doesn't actually need to act, he basically is going to be in the film only as a dead body. Okay, I've been cutting around and I found my way into some new scenes just by virtue of, yes, working through everybody's face in everybody's scene until we get some new stuff. And I think I found something interesting, which is, I suspect this might be the scene, i.e. actually on set, that we saw being rehearsed earlier. So here we go, take 2 of scene 13C. So yeah, the date gives us what order it was filmed, the scene number gives us where it sits in the story. And okay, they just made it very explicit. One of the actresses believes Marissa is sleeping with John, who was, what do they say, head of photography for her first feature, but then he went on to become a director and brought her on as a leading lady in Minsky, which may suggest some of the rest of the cast may rather resent that, and, oh, she could have been framed by someone who was annoyed that she got to be the leading lady, and they thought she only got it because she was sleeping with the director.
There's a lot of Frankies in New York. I don't usually ask for surnames. If you want to see Italian stuff, that really likes to watch fun.
You tell me.
Do you like to watch detective? Seems like a very detective kind of kink, but you're not bad.
Detectives don't have time for kinks.
The job is the kink.
Frankie said to her.
Still nothing?
Hey, can we go again? I was off there.
Okay, not the same interrogation scene, but it's a cop film. There was probably more than one, and, yeah. Who's that reflected in the mirror? Is that the same guy who was in the rehearsal earlier that we saw, yeah, in the scene with... Oh! Well, I tell you what, that's brought us to a new scene. So, okay, the question is, who's that on the ground? Zoom into you, just to get an idea. Go back out of here. We can always ID you. Natasha. Okay, back over to the shot we just went over to here. Minsky 26. Relatively, in fact... Oh, hang on. Not even in production at all. That's definitely a dress rehearsal, John.
Alright, scene 26. We'll just run through the beats here. We've come from the bathroom sex. Goodman runs out here into the club floor. Olga is already on the dance floor, headed for the back exit. Pushing past the dancers, knocked left and right, struggles. Franny's behind him. Olga is out the door already. Goodman pushes off the dance floor, sprints to the door, blam! Into the alleyway. It's raining. Goodman takes Franny's hand, and they chase Olga's silhouette as it leaves the alley. Bursting onto the street after Olga, Olga heads down the subway. They chase. Goodman falls. Franny pulls him up. We cut into the subway. Goodman and Franny run out onto the platform just as the train starts to pull away. Damn it! Forget about Olga. Take a look at each other. See that it's funny. In your club clothes, half dressed, soaked to the skin.
Soaked to the skin?
Alright. We're gonna cut from this to you two.
Okay, so I'm guessing Olga was a suspect who got away, then a slightly inappropriate laughing at each other scene, but okay, maybe there's a light-hearted centre to this cop film. Not that light-hearted, because yes, we know what happened to Olga down the line. Scene 39C, which, hang on, what's the furthest scene we've actually got? Okay, we've got 44A up here. I think I got to this through, yes, the woman who we saw in the interview earlier. So, yes, at some point, the presumably suspect Olga is found dead in what would appear to be a prison cell.
She's dead?
dead. Looks sad.
She always looks sad in his paintings.
Oh, Christ. What a mess. Get to skip trial at least.
I blinked. Fuck.
Sorry, come around.
Fail slates. 39C, take 3.
Let's break for lunch. We'll go get at it.
Breaking for lunch.
Okay, now the question is, did Olga actually do it or not, or was she maybe, yes, framed or something? Ah, here we go. John, I can literally change between calendar date and film dates. And this is what I want. I want to get deeper and deeper into the film, because eventually there's got to be the shot where they mess up and Cole gets killed by Marissa. Oh, and this scene's a big one. It's full of extras, and every single extra can drag me into another scene. So, yeah, I'm not sure you're important to the plot or anything, but at the bare minimum, yes, you could drag me into all sorts of behind-the-scenes bits and pieces. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure I just saw hang about. Okay, this scene is a flipping gold mine of getting me to other scenes. Oh, hang on. I think I may have just found more than just, yes, like a good way of getting into other scenes. So, this scene, there's no dialogue whatsoever. It's just a pan through silent extras miming at each other until we get to the end. And apparently, yes, this is, well, okay, two things. One, if we just set it going, we go to Marissa as Franny in just seconds.
Got it. That's the end of the movie.
Was that enough?
You would have got us.
That's the end. But I was just going back to, yes, revisit some other potential, you know, extras and whatnot. And if we just bring the film backwards, stuff starts getting weird. Hang about. Forward a little bit here. Forward a little bit. We just need to find our way to whatever the flip just happened. Problem is, I can't zoom in on whatever the cock's going on when you run the thing backwards. Because if I pause, then at that point, it goes back to normal. Okay, so there's also a weird supernatural element. There's secret horror hidden in the tapes if you rewind them. Gotcha. So okay, with that having clicked around a bit, I do now have, yes, at the bare minimum, the beginning and end of the film. So my primary job was to reconstruct the film. Now okay, there's still some missing bits from the middle, won't deny, but we've got a beginning, which I can't show you. Minsky basically, yes, ends up a bit on the dead side during hedgehog time. So Olga being found dead, 39C, suggests if she didn't do it, then the film ends with everyone assuming she did. Meanwhile, him walking down the street to the gallery, that wasn't him going to investigate anything. That was him going to look through the window at Franny, which is why the final scene is silent, because it's from his point of view, outside looking in as she turns around, which is when also things get a bit weird and supernatural. On the way, we have got ourselves, yes, various interviews. We know Olga gets confronted in a club. We know there's a chase. Eventually she ends up in prison. Eventually she ends up dead. So we've got an idea for how the film goes. However, we don't yet know what was going on that led to somebody being dead. And that's just one film. There's also the first film that we've barely seen any of, though I stumbled across the odd link into it. It just wasn't really relevant to my interest in the second film. Okay, I will say I found this more compelling than I expected to. This is interesting. It's nice that it runs on two levels simultaneously. The fact you're trying to piece together the film and also trying to piece together the drama behind the scenes. Though I'm not 100% convinced by this whole clicking on an image to get to a different vaguely connected thing, because sometimes it works really well, like click on the chat show host and go to a different interview he did somewhere nearby in time, and sometimes it's just completely bloody random, like you click on a prop in one film and it takes you to a sort of similar item in a completely different film 30 years in the future. So yeah, like, the gameplay I suppose is a mixed bag, but the narrative drive of it, which is really, you know, the entire bloody point, that I find pretty compelling. So I'll leave this off here, so you've got plenty to find for yourselves, but I'd say it's worth a look-see. It's not going to be for everyone, but for the right person in the right mood, this is kind of cool, actually. So, link in the description below, worth a look-see to the right person, and as I say, I am currently going through various games from 2022 I missed at the time. Let me know in the comments if you think there's anything in particular I have overlooked to date, and who knows, maybe you'll see it soon. We shall flipping see. But in the meantime, I've been John, this has been Many a True Nerd, and this has been Immortality. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Claire, show off what the button packaging does. That's amazing!
25, 50, 100, and then 110
If you need to hide the butter, you just fold the packaging onto the butter and that's amazing! That's such a good idea!
See,
How long has butter been doing this?
Forever.